Right, my name is Gimson, and I'm here today at K Music Studios. So they got this sick little studio, like, look at the walls, man. It's just like proper breezy. But yeah, basically what they are, they're like a community studio, and they're trying to bring like something in the heart of the city where all musicians can come and practice, rehearse, all that sort of stuff. So I am absolutely honoured that they picked me to come down to do that first one. Yeah, it's a privilege to be down there to come in and do some stuff.
As a white man, I understand that I'll never understand however I stand. See, to me, racism is a word with a meaning, but to my people of colour, that word is a feeling. And yeah, all life should really matter, but right now they don't, and they won't, not until the black ones do. See, I have a missus, 2 kids who are all mixed heritage, and through the midst of this shit, I visualize this. They get pulled over one day in the car by some pigs and get put through some awfully traumatic shit. And in a worst case scenario, Shan doesn't come home, and I'm left to raise my 2 kids all alone, all because the colour of her skin tone. Now I'm dancing all alone with a broken left speaker in a Christian country searching for Zen, or 3 wise men preparing for when Christopher spaceman comes travelling again. Global warming melted Santa Claus's home away as lost children of Aleppo reach foreign shores with a hope to stay. They say there's no room at the inn and these vagrants are illegal, but it's lack of empathy. You take the human out of people. I'm on a planet where different humans are not treated equal, where black lives don't matter and there's only temporary peace talks. But the right never hear this with our broken left speaker. Monotonely take the centre where their hatred is preaching. So this is Christmas, and what have you done? The old year is over and a new one's begun.
So the Black Lives Matter one, I mean, I've always grew up like with hip hop, and hip hop is black culture, and like it comes from black culture and is black culture. So as a white person, I mean, I'm not really a fan of identity politics per se, but I've always been like a guest in that culture, and I've always felt completely welcome within hip hop. And as far as like, do you mean no one's ever made me feel uncomfortable for being white within hip hop? But the only ones who would ever say anything would be like the older white guys, or like, do you mean it would take the piss for a white person? It was like, but it's the most inclusive culture, I think, on the planet. It's, so yeah, and with my writing for the Why Don't You Listen to Me song, it was actually 2 songs originally. So the second half from where I say, dancing all alone with a broken left speaker in a Christian country searching for Zen, that was actually initially supposed to be a Christmas song. And that was actually written in 2016. I think it was, there was the last time like the Black Lives Matter was kind of in the forefront of the press. So that was written then. The first half of it was written recently. And I wasn't even sure whether I was going to put it out. It was like just something I've read. It was just like after the George Floyd murder, I put it because my missus, she's mixed race. Her dad's Jamaican and then her mum's side's white, which means I've got mixed race kids as well. But taking it from that angle, it was like, well, hang on a minute. Like, it's always nice to put yourself in someone's shoes and be like, well, or put yourself in that environment. It's like, well, what if my missus didn't come home? Like, what if I was left to raise my 2 kids all alone? Which is the lyric. And for me, as a white person, it's like racism is not something I've ever felt, and it's not something I ever really want to feel. But I know what it means, and I've got a lot of black friends who've explained the feeling of it. So it's, do you mean, I stand against racism, but yeah, that was kind of like where the opening line spawned from. So my mental health side of things, yeah, like I said a minute ago, like when I was, music is my shadow. It's like, it's a way of expressing the demons or the flaws that you see. It's like, I wouldn't like to sit there and just moan or wallow in negativity or criticize things. I've been in that place before. It's like whenever I meet someone who's like quite, like a troll or some shit, do you know what I mean? It's like someone who's like always like saying negative shit about someone. It's like you got to think that that person, what kind of headspace is that person in? That person's at like a low point for them to they haven't got anything going on. They've got like some demons. That's why they're always talking shit about people. But I hate to be like in that. So it's like finding some form of escapism to work on. Yeah, like journal entries as well. I write a lot in the journal. But yeah.
Son of Mary, son of your mum, no longer contrary. Still she is judged by the fingers of mortals, clutching straws like DIY snorkels. It's hard to breathe, oxygen thieves and magician's sleeves. Eyes won't listen, ears won't see, sensing senses and conscious heartbeats. Tears run red, grasping at home when the bastard know when the door was open. The red lights were on and the punters were smoking. Ash on the sofa, disrespecting your home. Man of the house getting dragged through the system. What's the mission? Cryptic clues, now you're studying algebra. No lessons from daddy cause he went around for you. In the kitchen, free basin, building the now with the tools of a mason. Doctor scriptures, once penned by ancients. What a witch trials for the mental derangement. Fuck your enslavement and roads to nowhere with unmaintained pavements, misguided by churches and egos to find I was never your child and I'll be just fine. Using acid for zen like the colours weren't pretty before dabbing them. 4 AM rollies like in shorties of pilgrims, self-searching the legitimate children. Happy Father's Day, should discipline myself but I'd rather play. All this talk of what we haven't done. Adult tantrums not seldom but random. Still we seek your praises, try to make you proud. This foresight that you gave us, the brightness of now. Incubator babies laying numeric tables, organised digits of what the suits gave us. Snatched from the cradle, came without able, surrounded by con men and wishy-wash fables. My father made me in his image, so I tattooed my skin and defaced myself. For if I am him, then I hate myself. Hand on the Bible, pray for the sky, for the angelic rape, but survival is vital. An evil creator, a terrorist neighbour, an everlasting war run deep in our nature.
The thing with a lot of people being on lockdown, you've got a lot of people that are going to be having no sort of like outside influences, and there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that comes from a lot of artists in this. It's tough because I wish I had gone more at it with music when I was younger, because it's always been something I've done, but like I'll put something out and like then stop and put something out. So like, this year I've really gone hell and leather at it. So I was always like told when older people or whatever, or like people around, it's like it's not a real job. Go and do something. Do you know what I mean? It's like don't do that. You need to go make money. You need to go into the real world. It's like if you listen to those opinions, and it's like people who tell you that kind of stuff as well. They don't actually like they're projecting their own fears on you. They're like, what if you fail? It's like it's not about like whether. Do you mean it's that's their insecurities, but they're brushing their insecurities off on you. It's like, you shouldn't do that. So I think I've picked the fucking most challenging time ever to like try and like really make it work. So I work a full-time job. I've got 2 young kids, and do you know what I mean? It's like, when you're young, it's like you can kind of like put it's like, it's tough, but yeah, it's that balance and that. So I've started doing this thing as well called Screenless Sunday. So like I found like, a month ago, August was a really busy month for me, and August was the school holidays. I think like August I think it was like 3 releases that came out in August, and I was like teetering on the edges of burnout, and I was like, oh fuck, like, do you know what I mean? It was just doing way too much. So I took a step back, and now Sundays for me is the one day of the week where it's just family, like fucking turn the phones off, turn the screens off, do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, having a balance, because I find if you haven't got a balance, you could burn out as well, and then you can lose creativity, and it's like you need to live life a little bit. But yeah, the music industry is, I feel most for the live sector. I think it's do you mean there's a lot of struggling artists in there. So I was speaking to someone the other day, and he runs the biggest events management company in the country. So he did 1,500 events last year. And he said this year's done 3. So, which I mean, there's a lot of struggling artists out there. And I think it's not just for the artists, because the artists are the ones who entertain people, but it's like people like go into these gigs as well. Like, do you mean just like their escapism? Because not everyone makes music, you get the amount of people that get the enjoyment or the value from music, from like listening to the artists or going to these events. I mean, it's it's fucking weird hearing it. It is strange.
Is anybody out there? We're on a dying planet without any healthcare. The church in the world disregards for our welfare. The concrete jungles without one house spare. Motive thinkers think with their knuckles. Just blame mentality raised out of rubble. No pot to piss in, bum fluff and stubble. Too much tough love could put a price on a cuddle. Inflation has doubled, pouring out hugs for the tormented and troubled. Systems and funnels, a perilous muddle. Burning the foil, the toil, the struggle. I saw you leaving, the kiss of a needle looked more appealing. The stealing, feeling subdued from reality, the age of anxiety, poverty, family, day-to-day livers, corroding our inners, where corned beef and rice are a staple at dinner. Swimming in a simple breaststroke in a facade, in a bowl of pretty glass, whose decorative sharp shards is yours. Narcosis from the poison, perspiring from pores. A glass of assurance, a shot full of blame. A numbness to the pain until it wears off again. Anesthetic answers painted on the walls in the eye of a storm. Lost within its cause. Skew more section to the cold concrete. Those tantalizing memories that became obsolete. Reminiscence of fiction, deja vu nostalgia, lies with conviction. A piss poor attempt to translate a description of how it feels flushing shit out of your system. When the drugs wore off, I see utopia leaving. The sight stained phlegm from a loss or screaming. Scratching the fabric of time that's so seething with clues of poverty stolen from Eden. Trying to automate feelings. You look lovely this evening. A compliment played down by toxic feelings, masked by a foresight of anxious grieving. Material assets, they said don't put all your eggs in one basket. Instead share them out amongst unfulfilled caskets, and one day you can land one an unfulfilled halfway. Put the whole lot on red. There's no point in life if you think that you're dead. These kryptonic cracks that we chisel with detonate, suspended by strings of an eerie quartet. Dystopia beckons, sat in a glass of granular seconds, wasting each granule with handfuls of questions. Fingernails scratch at the skin with obsession, piercing the flesh of previous scabs, devious cats and Keynesian traps, leading us back to inebriate states, pure bliss in our blood but no food on our plates. Every single class is needed catharsis, but the drugs are the whole tool to heal up them scars with. Lethargic dancing on the pavement of harshness, regardless of carnage, hope we can part with. Budget airlines doing 2-for-1 Mars trips. Start up the driverless car quick, a last-minute flight on a plague-ridden starship, and one last attempt to relieve us from hardship.
But yeah, there are some really talented people here. So there was like my sort of generation. So the ones I'm working with now is I've got Roscoe. Trying to get Dane back on, and Dane Gumas, because he's just fucking, he was sick. And Recco, so I'm doing a project with Recco as well at the moment. But then there was like the younger ones down from us as well who were doing things. I'm not quite sure what they're doing now. But yeah, that's why I think like what you guys are doing here could be really cool, like as like a community spot or a place to do these sort of things. Do you know what I mean? It's, yeah, because I think it needs that. Everywhere needs a heart, especially like when you got like more and more like, I mean, if I say youth clubs, I can't go to a youth club anymore. I've got a fucking grey beard. But like from that, I mean, they're taking it away from the kids. Like, and as adults as well, it's nice for places to adults to go to congregate, to share creativity. So yeah, I think it's we need more youth clubs and more places like this.
Asleep in a lay-by, I stare at the grey sky. Window cracked a smidgen to absorb fumes that take life. Red lights and yellow roads, the lemons move hella slow to a cliff edge of yellow snow with a poor-sighted ledge below. Cave dweller hellos, the response is an echo. As I buy my own nonsense over an overpriced espresso. We made the globe a ghetto, painted trees in a concrete meadow, and later cried about it in and out of truthful settle. Critiquing a crescendo of like-minded losers, manhandling a tempo, skewing on the benzos to unscrutinize the tense flow of inappropriate thoughts or forming from intense quotes. Just a bunch of dense blokes resorting to violence, one outwitted with complex jokes. We are complex by nature, but the complexity is blinded by the vibes of a hater. Kitchen party fight talk, who's talking the hardest? Chats of clearing out some crops, one guy knows where a yard is. Forget an equal share though, these guys are not Marxists. Raised on GMOs, like what the fuck is a partridge? Let me pause between my sentences so I can articulate my pretenses. Sitting on this fence cause they are talking without sense, and I can sense the hasty instincts. And there is nothing left to chat about. Their one-upmanship, like, what the fuck is that about? A toxic pissing contest, a shitty game of cat and mouse. Silence is golden, but it seems we all have to shout. Pantomime, miming in my pants. Sign language rants, bounce falls on deaf ears. Blistering barnacles, free lies in a farcical. Lingering poo particles from a shit-talking arsenal. The cavalry is dead from a lack of oxytocin. Social bonds severed by the hands of a Trojan. The electronic love letter should have never been opened. Only hand-woven notions will show you true devotion. 4D printers, futuristic, summeristic winters, electronic intervals, somewhere on screen near you, this fool.